trains.
Today I'm back out on the fields doing a very quick review on the Garmin GPS Map 66i with built-in InReach technology. I'll do a quick demonstration of the map, route planning and the satellite communication. Now I've looked at getting a satellite communicator for emergencies for my hiking and wild camping. Now I've owned a Garmin GPS Map 62ST now for many years. Now I'm not the most advanced user and I've probably only used a fraction of its capabilities. I went for the Garmin GPS Map 66i with InReach built in, which is what the I stands for. Now the two devices very similar in form factor with a few key differences. Power button here, slightly different designs on the back, both with interchangeable removable carabiners. Now, on the old 62ST you've got a removable back panel to change the batteries, whereas on the 66i it's fixed because this is a rechargeable device. Now big difference obviously is this button on the side here. Now that's your SOS button, which I'll go into in a second. One of the biggest issues I had with this was the routing. It wasn't the most dynamic. It would get you from A to B, but the best way of getting a route onto it was to choose a route before you leave home on your computer. You'd physically have to plug it in via USB from your computer and upload the route. So if you want to change your route halfway through your trip, that would be a big problem for you. One thing that was quite useful on here was the bird's eye subscription. Paid a monthly or annual fee and you could download satellite imagery of your desired area. So if you knew going to Ben Nevis, you could download the satellite imagery of that area. Its only real limit was how much space you had on the device, but these do take an SD micro card, so that wasn't a huge issue. Once you download the satellite imagery, you're able to keep that for the lifetime of the device. However, once your subscription ended, you couldn't add new areas. So the big advantage of being able to communicate directly to your phone or other devices whilst you're out and about, you could use Garmin Explore. You could use that to pick you a new route or pick your own route, and then from that immediately send it to your device. So I'll just do a quick startup demo of the device. There we go, we have it. So that took about 10 seconds. And just to add, this device hasn't been switched on for about 2 weeks now, so that was a cold acquisition time. Okay, so the Garmin InReach service works on the satellite network called Iridium, well established. Basically it talks to satellites in low Earth orbit, or LEO, which are about 500 miles above the surface of the Earth. Now compared to some other providers, they use, I think it's called geostationary orbit. Now their satellites are about 22,000 kilometers up. Now I'm led to believe that helps with easier communication to and from your device, and also the hardware doesn't need to be as powerful to talk to those satellites because they're so much closer, which is why it can be built into such small devices. So what I'm going to do is a quick demo of sending a message from this device. So all you simply do is you go into menu, InReach messages, and I'm going to send a preset message to myself. And there we go, sending message. So if I go to the home page, what you can see there now is an up arrow, showing it's trying to send a message. So we'll leave that there for a minute and see how long it takes to go. Now just to note, we have got a few trees above us. So while waiting for that, the cost of using InReach, you pay initially an annual subscription charge, which I think was $34.99. That'll happen every year. So on top of that, to actually use it month to month, I'm on the safety plan. That costs $14.99 a month. Now with that you get 10 messages included, and that's 10 messages sent or received. So if somebody sends you 10 messages, there you go. And that took 2 minutes 29 seconds to come through. So yeah, the subscription cost £14.99 a month. With that, you get 10 free messages or included messages. Now that's messages sent and received. Once you've gone above your 10 inclusive messages, it will cost 50 pence for every message thereafter. Now what is good, and what Garmin do is you can have 3 preset messages on your device. I say preset, you predefine them before you leave for your trip. What you need to do is log on to the Garmin Explore website. You can set up your 3 messages and all your recipients. So once you're out and about, you can send a preset message like I have, free of charge, for as many times as you want. And what's really useful, you can also include a location or a map share location, free of charge, as many times as you like, with geotag information so they can see exactly where you are. So InReach. The way InReach works for the SOS side of things is Garmin have their own operators at the other end. So all you need to do is you pop that open, you push that button in. What happens is it will start doing a countdown before it sends the emergency message. So we're going to cancel that. Beyond that, you then get an operator speaking to you via text, asking what your emergency is, what sort of help you need, how many people are involved, that sort of thing. Now, this can also be used, I'll show you on this camera. So if your device is completely powered off, pop the flap, push and hold for about 3 seconds, let go of it. And the first thing it does, as soon as it has a GPS location, it goes straight into the SOS mode, giving you your 20-second countdown again. And again, we're going to cancel that. So the bird's eye subscription, so as you can see, gives you nice satellite imagery of exactly where you are. Now, one useful feature of using this, if I need to know the distance between myself and something that I can see in the distance. So for example, that bunch of trees there is approximately 190 yards away. Now, as a hiker, that may not be amazingly useful, but I know people that use these for rifle shooting, and it gives them a good idea of what sort of range they're shooting at. Now, to get additional satellite imagery, because this only works in the areas I've downloaded for, if we zoom out, so as you can see, that box around it is run out. So if I then go into the menu, go to Bird's Eye Direct, hit enter, follow download imagery, and what we'll do is we'll add it to my phone, connect. Now, ideally, you'd be doing this at home on your home Wi-Fi network, but you do need to connect each time. So here we go, we're now connected. So yeah, ideally, you'd set this up at home, connect to your home Wi-Fi network. Once you knew which area you're traveling to, you can download the imagery, and we'll go to location, and we're going to use the map, and we're going to zoom right out and head due east. And let's say I wanted that particular area here, use that, download it to internal memory. And what it's doing now is downloading it from the Bird's Eye servers, and that will stay on your device for life now, or until you delete it anyway. Now, the cost of InReach, as far as I'm aware, remains the same, whether it's the Garmin 66i or the InReach Mini 2, but functionality of the actual InReach service, I believe, remains the same. But check. Now, you can set these devices to constantly update location with a breadcrumb trail. For a location ping or a location breadcrumb, it costs 10 pence per breadcrumb dropped. So what you can do, you set it up on your device, so you can set it for 2 hours or more. What it'll actually do, it'll then get your location and send it off to the Garmin servers. Any of your friends, people keeping a track of your journey, they can log on to the website, to the Garmin website, and actually check your progress, see where you are, see where you've been, as another safety measure. So people that want to do Three Peaks Challenge, Mont Blanc, Licky Hills, keep track of you. Now, the battery life of the 66i, I was a little bit disappointed when I read the specifications. They were quoting some, I think, like 20 hours or thereabouts, maybe even 10 hours, unless you put it into expedition mode. Now, I believe the hours they're quoting is if you have the location reporting switched on. So every 2 hours, you'll try and connect to the Iridium network and send your location. Now, message sending is probably the biggest battery zapper out of all the options it does. So if it's connecting every 2 hours, every 3 hours to send a message as to where you are, it will kill the battery. Now, I've used this for many trips, and a couple of times I've forgot to charge it before I've left. I've had no problems at all. I'm completely guessing, but I reckon you'd get at least 2 days constant use out of it, maybe even 3, maybe 4, I don't know. but the battery seems very strong on it. Whereas the old device, I can actually just take the back off and put some new AA batteries in. Now, most people nowadays carry a battery bank, so it's not the end of the world, but just something to think about. You might need that as well. So in the Garmin ecosystem, even old devices like this will work with the newer Bluetooth low energy devices, such as the Garmin Temp. So once this loads up, on the home screen it should give the temperature, even though it hasn't got GPS lock. As you can see on there, we're at 7 degrees centigrade out here. Now normally this will be clipped to the back of my rucksack, or even sometimes the zip of my jacket, just to keep an eye on deer. If I go wild camping, I normally leave it outside the tent, clipped to a branch or a bush. It is waterproof. So whilst I'm in the tent, I can actually see what the temperature difference is. So if it gets close to that freezing point, I can start bringing water bottles inside, make sure my water filter is protected from frost. Just a handy thing to have, really. So the bird's eye imagery has actually downloaded to the 66i, but unfortunately my other camera died. It took that long. Yeah, it wasn't a very big file either, to be honest. So it's not without restrictions. It won't work on 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi, only on 2.4, but as a value-added service, as an extra feature, I think really good. Whereas the olden days, you'd have to pop the flap on the back and do it via USB. And you'd have to have your computer there, you'd have to load it up. This, you can just sit in your living room in front of the TV, go to the area you want to go to, and download it free of charge. So, good call, Garmin, well done. Now, the 66i can also be used for other sports. Cycling's quite a big one, and with the Garmin accessories, you can get a crank sensor for power. You can get a speed sensor for your front or rear hub of your cycle, which is quite useful. If you want to do training and use a pair of rollers on your bike, it will still clock the miles up. It won't be relying necessarily on GPS. Now, what might ruin it for Garmin is last month, which was January 2023, Apple announced that the iPhone 14 now has satellite communication ability built into it. From what I understand, it will do virtually the same job as InReach, so that might be worth looking at before you take the dive into a Garmin device. So that's my quick how-to on the Garmin 66i. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.